Welcome to Issues and Answers with Diane Kinderwater. Issues and Answers is presented as a public service to inform, educate, and better the lives of New Mexicans. And now, Issues and Answers with your host, Diane Kinderwater.
Welcome to the program. I'm Diane Kinderwater. We know there are a lot of libraries for kids and museums for kids, but none of them are dedicated to works by kids, by children until now. This is part two of two parts regarding the children's collection. If you saw it before, it's amazing about all the inventions and things that kids have created and developed and got patents for. You think of kids, you think of, oh, they are going to perhaps create a game like this board game, or crayons, which were created and patented by kids. But how about things like medical items? What about other inventions? What about tremendous artwork? What about award-winning books? All of that is collected by the Children's Collection. We're going to learn more about it and its founder right after this. Stay with us. When you think about kids inventing things, you think of, oh, the toy truck. Well, I didn't know until now, but a child invented the toy truck. Not recent years, but back a century or more ago. And you think about kids, well, yeah, they're going to create games like this, the candy collection. You're going to think about that, board games, but they're doing so much more. We're going to talk about it right now with my guest. I'd like to introduce you once again to Shander Bawden, and she is the collector of the Children's Collection. Thank you so much for being a part of this program and for bringing all this tremendous artwork, literary works, and inventions and games, plenty of games. And we're talking about kids inventing them ages as young as 4 years old to 18. All of it's in your collection online, and you're collecting more and more every day.
Yeah, I sure am. Yep. Yeah, and I think what's the most amazing thing to me is seeing them all together, right? We all hear these stories about a kid invented this, kid invented that, whatever. Having them all in one spot is always almost overwhelming for some people. You know what I mean? When I go and I do these events, nobody knows how much kids are capable of.
Nobody knows.
Right.
Until now. And
Right.
You're inspiring them, inspiring
I
generations
hope so.
for the future.
I hope so.
We talked about the previous program about these beautiful works of art, but there's one right behind you. That's by a New
Yes.
Mexican. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, he did that when he was 10 years old. He started painting ledgers. He's the son of Yellow Man. His name is Ben Nelson, but now he goes by, he is a fashion designer, fairly well known, who goes by the son of Picasso. But he did this when he was 10, and yeah, as an adult, we can still follow him and see what he's doing creatively.
Now, he's a New Mexican.
He's a New Mexican.
And where did you find...
It's part Kiowa, Navajo, and Taos Pueblo, I believe.
And how did you hear about him?
Well, actually, that was donated to me by a friend who had bought it from him in Santa Fe, I believe, at an Indian market, and knew that he was 10 years old when he did it, and she donated it to the collection, which is wonderful.
We're going to talk about more New Mexicans. So we have here, this is our culture, our city, New Mexico, our state, our school, as told by the third grade at Monte Vista Elementary School. Right. Tell me about this book.
I love it. It's kind of like the one that started this whole thing off, Where the Mountains Meet the Plains. It was all done by kids, all the drawings, look at all the colors, talking about, their history. So
that's Monte Vista here in Albuquerque?
Here in Albuquerque. And actually, in 1952, there was a book that came out called Fiestas in Our Mountain Villages, and I do have a copy of that, which I didn't bring because it's very old and I didn't want to risk it. But it was about the East Mountain towns and how they celebrate different holidays. It was republished in like 1972. But it's this little book that was done by kids that is just lovely. You know, I always use that word. It's just, they're all lovely.
Here we have Bella the caterpillar.
Yes, and she won an award in an Arizona writing competition. And this publisher is also from Albuquerque. It's Community Publishing, LLC, and I think that's also who published this.
Dreams of Montezuma. We're going to keep going through Dreams of
Yes.
Montezuma. Fear This.
Okay.
These are all books for. Here's
Well,
another.
this was kind of fun. This was
Okay.
cool because I followed Bookworks Albuquerque on Instagram, and one day I happened to see that they were having a book signing by a kid. So I ran down there, and I missed the kid, but the books were still for sale. And so these are all like little horror stories.
Horror stories by
Yeah,
Cohen Candelaria.
that's right.
He had a book signing as
He had
a
a
kid.
book signing as a kid at a
Page
bookstore.
through that. Let's
Yeah.
see.
So this is all, yeah, they're all like short stories, but they're kind of like the stories you would tell around the campfire to scare people.
Ghost Mountain.
Yeah, yeah.
There are those stories that we've been told, but I haven't seen them in print. I've just heard the stories.
And he made them all up, right? So yeah, they're not even like the classic urban legend. They're just his stories that are, you know, he's really into horror.
And Dreams
And then-
you've quite a few Dreams of Montezuma.
Yeah, so these were put out by the Santa Fe School for the Arts, 3 years. The first one, I forget what date it was. It was only a couple years ago. They only have 3 right now. And it's a literary journal that also has artwork, poetry, things like that.
Now, are there any libraries for children's work?
Not that I know of. And I have really looked. There are a lot of, there's a place in DC called the Kids Museum that is a maker space. And so kids go in there and they can be creative and explore all sorts of different, you know, STEAM, that's science, technology, engineering, arts, and math, right? And they can use 3D printers, they can use laser cutters, whatever, and they can create. But that doesn't mean that the place itself collects what they create. So again, what happens to all this stuff? What happens to like the National Science Fair winner every year? What happens to their prototype? You know, do they keep it? Do they get rid of it? Do they hold on to it until they're older and then they go, oh, I don't need this anymore, and they toss it? Well, it should be preserved and showcased.
And that's what you're doing. You've been doing since.
Yes, I'm
what,
trying
2021?
2021, yeah, mostly, like I said, I think earlier, it's a passion project, but now I'm getting donations, and I really want to raise money to, first of all, because if you have a lending library, you want multiple copies of the books, right? But then also, I want a bus to take the collection around the state, around the country.
Here's one. This one makes sense through children's
That's right.
children's eyes.
And that was done by a neighbor of mine, actually. In the 90s, she had this program called Art in the School, and she taught photography. So this is all kids' photography on film. And she got that because she taught it was a part of a curriculum. She had thousands and thousands, and she took the top 100 that she
young
curated.
photographs.
Yes, the best ones, you know. And
All
then
from New
published this
Mexico.
book. All from New Mexico.
South Valley.
Have you heard of that one?
South Valley, that's New Mexico.
And those authors met with, I believe it was Joe Biden.
Poetry,
Yeah, it's poetry
paintings,
and art
wow,
from the South
beautiful.
Valley.
Beautiful.
And I believe that they are
Beautiful.
now doing the South Valley Youth
Now,
Initiative.
how did they know to publish this?
That's a very good question.
Because it sounds like a project from a classroom.
It was, yeah, it was. But these 2 young women, Cheyenne Anderson and Issa James, came up with the idea. And they got a fairly well-known local artist, he's not a child, to do the illustrations. And then they self-published. And it just caught on, you know?
Wow. the weekly case, and
Oh my God, this is one of my favorite stories. Okay. I was watching TV, and there was a news story that came on about a boy named Zion Flint who was publishing his own newspaper. It was a 2-pager. It always followed the same formats. He had an advice column, advertising, fact of the day, local stories. He did it for 1 year, and he would, give them out to the neighborhood. And there was a news story about him because he really did it every single week for a year at the age of 10.
page through a few more.
Oh,
You
yeah.
put together a neighborhood newspaper
A neighborhood newspaper.
every week.
Every week.
Ways to beat the heat.
From the age of 10.
How to draw a car. How to draw a car.
Right?
Space Jam 2 review. What an extraordinary kid. Free comic book day. Real estate sold.
Isn't that fun?
And how did you hear about this? How to bring your pet to school.
Yes. Well, this is the one that I saw a news story about, and I contacted, his mother was on Instagram. And so I contacted her about getting PDFs of all of the newspapers. And I think I have half of the year.
Basketball club.
But, yeah.
These kids are.
And then this one is also really cool because I was at the Rail Yards Market showing the collection, and a boy came up and said that he was really interested in the art books. And he said that he drew all day, every day, right? And he was so excited about the possibility of having his work on the wall in a gallery or a museum that he donated his work to the children's collection, right? So I had to take it. I could, I've said before, the collection needs to be curated so that we don't end up with just anything by anybody or a parent who says, my 2-year-old did this, put it in the children's collection, But this, he gave it to me, and he, wanted to be represented. So
How old is he?
he was 10 at the time. Yeah.
Isn't that adorable?
Middle school.
And
yeah.
what do you mean curated? You want things curated?
I want to have people with knowledge of that particular art form help me choose what to collect, so that it is something, again, it's hard. I don't want it to be all precocious children. I don't want it to be all geniuses, right? I want it to be stuff like this too. These two, where it's a kid who just has a passion for something. And it's not, obviously the parents didn't do it for them, right? But they had an idea and they were able to pursue it and make something out of it.
As I mentioned at the beginning of the show, I only would think that kids, well, they're familiar with books and reading, which is wonderful. Of course, they're going to write something, draw pictures.
Yeah.
But they play games. And so I'm thinking if a kid wants to create something, it makes sense to create a game, a board game.
Absolutely.
So what do we have here?
Well, this
created
one,
by kids.
Candy Collection it's a very basic board game. Is this right? There we go. It's a very basic board game for little kids. And when I did Somos Albuquerque this past weekend, we had maybe 4 or 5 kids play this game, and they were very young, 3 to 5 or whatever. And it was perfect because it's introductory. It goes fast. The kids won. I had several young women and young men helping me with the booth, and they taught the kids how to play the game, and the kids won. The little kids won. So, but it was easy to play,
but it was created by a
created
child.
by a child. Yeah, which I think is what made it so easy.
Do you know who created it or how old?
This one, Sibylla Mackenzie, and she was 10.
10 years
She
old.
was looking for something to do over the summer.
Create your own board game.
Yeah, and this one is like they say the game of one-upmanship. So you're trying to say that who has tasted more flavors of ice cream, or how about who knows the most dance moves? So it's about getting better, being better than all your friends.
So again, games, and we talked about crayons.
Yes.
And decks of cards created by kids and produced.
Yeah.
But this is kind of unusual.
Yeah, so
Am I
that
looking at the right-
kid, his name was Richie Stokowski, I believe, and he patented this as well as this one. He ended up doing a number of different inventions.
Scuba scope,
So-
underwater periscope.
Yes.
As a kid. How
Yeah,
old?
as a kid. 10.
10 years.
I think the water talkies was his first one. I think he was 10 when he did this. And then
Oh, it's
over
a
the
water
next 2
talkie?
years, yeah, you
Oh,
can talk
I was
underwater.
looking through it.
You could talk underwater with it. Yeah.
Oh,
And
never
then he's
heard
got
of
his
that.
whole story on the back of it, which I love. These I got these from eBay. They're not made anymore. But,
But you have them in your collection.
yeah.
What's his story?
Well, I will read it to you. He says, "Hi, I'm Richie. I invent water products. Last year I invented water talkies, the underwater talking toy. Since then, a lot of people have asked me how I was able to get it made." And then he goes into the story of how he did that and how he was able to patent it. I have the patent right here.
And this was in 1999.
Yeah.
So it's just not present day inventions. You went back in history. You found
yeah.
the inventor of the popsicle.
Yes,
Correct?
was 11.
11 years
is
old.
The Mr. Epperson, and he invented it by accident when he left juice out in the cold and it froze.
11-year-old invented the popsicle. And you
11-year-old, and
said
if you
Christmas
go
lights,
to-
Christmas lights,
Oh,
which we
yeah.
all have.
Yeah,
1830, but she's got the patent. Again, this is in your collection.
That's
so it's
right.
just not kids today who are extraordinary. Kids in the past.
That's right.
Had a need and decided we can't find it.
that's right.
On
the
the shelves.
trampoline was invented by a kid. The television was invented by a kid.
Now, what do you mean the television?
Well, and that's another one where...
We can look online at that. That's
yes,
going to be a long
I think that
history.
that should be, yeah. Yeah. Oh, so I used that at Somos Albuquerque just the other day. This was invented by a kid. It's a reusable or non-permanent glue that he made for his Legos. So he was,
keep
you
'em
put your,
together and-
yeah, they would keep them together, but you soak them in hot water and they come apart.
Oh, that's
It's like sticky notes or whatever. And we used this the other day at Somos because it was really windy. And so I had to glue down all our signage and then it came right up again. So it was perfect.
Where can they
You
find
can
your
get it on
collection?
Amazon.
You can buy that. And you found out, how did you find out about the glue?
I don't remember.
Okay, but being invented by a kid.
I
We
don't
showed the
remember.
artworks, we showed you all the books, the literary
and
pieces,
fashion.
and fashion.
The fashion.
Let's
So-
talk a little about that.
This young man, Max Alexander, he's now 9 years old. He started sewing when he was 4. And I have one of his first creations. It's a mermaid dress. By now, he's 9. He has millions and millions of followers on Instagram. All of the fashion designers around the world are trying to take him under his wing. This was his first commercial product. And
It's got beading on the back.
yeah,
It's
can
a
you see
little
it?
vest.
It's a vest. I bought this for myself, actually not for the children's collection. This wing design, I think he did for Sharon Stone. He made a coat for Deborah Messing. He would
The
make, you just
actresses.
sent in an order for what size you want, and he made them each individually.
At 9 years old.
At 9 years old, he's done
And where is
all
he
the
from?
fashion weeks, California. Yeah. And then I love this girl too, Gabby Lofton. She's from DC and she's the
And
youngest.
that's the gown.
The
We're gonna
gown.
take a look at the gown.
Yeah, and she did that I think when she was 6 maybe. She's the youngest.
6 years old?
Yeah. She's the youngest designer to
Sequins?
show in DC Kids Fashion Week. And yeah, she's, oh, and you know what is kind of fun to watch too is I'm watching them change. Like I'm friends with her on Instagram. I follow her on Instagram. And she's getting older and now she's really into basketball, but she's still doing fashion, and you get to watch these kids mature and, grow, but still have their passions, it's very fun.
And this little hat right here, this winter hat, which I have.
Yeah, so that boy was adopted from Ethiopia. His name is Jonah, and he's a crochet fanatic, and he published the book with different patterns. He published another book of patterns, and then a lot of the money goes to help develop
Oh,
schools
and here's the book right out in
in
front.
Ethiopia.
What is
Yeah.
it called? It's called
Jonas
crochet.
Hands.
Crochet.
Yeah, and he started crocheting as a kid again. He's still probably 15 at this point. And then the making bacon thing in front of him was invented in the 90s by a girl named Abby Fleck, who wanted to invent a child-safe microwavable plate to catch all the fat so that bacon was healthier.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Now, yes, I've certainly heard about that, but I didn't know a kid.
And that's
Abby.
still available on Amazon. Cook
I've heard of
bacon
this
better.
one.
Yes,
Wow.
above the fat. Yeah,
Look at this. Making bacon.
yeah.
See?
And I have a patent for that too, but I didn't bring it. So
There's a patent for this as
there's
well.
also a patent.
And
for
how old was she?
11, I think.
11. Oh, older than
Yeah,
the 10. Everybody else
yeah.
was 10.
Yeah.
Amazing. What? You have a whole box
Oh my
of...
gosh.
Oh,
Okay, so this is a punk band. The Linda Lindas, they went viral when they played a punk song in a library in Los Angeles. And they now have a recording contract. They were 11, 12, and 14 and 17 or something like that when their video went viral. And they wrote, that was the other thing. I don't collect performers, right? I collect creators. So there are many, many, many wonderful artists out there who can, play the violin, the piano, whatever. But I want the people who made the music, not the people who played the music.
it.
They wrote it, or they wrote the lyrics, they wrote the music, or whatever. So these girls write all their own songs.
And what year was this, more or less?
It was just a few years ago.
Oh, there's a back picture of them in the back, too.
Oh yeah.
And they have their own album.
Yes.
Well, album, do they...
They put
was
out
it
an
quite
album.
a few
They put
years
out a
ago
CD.
since it was an album? Or
Yeah.
album's back
Well,
now?
I love that. The vinyl is coming back. So a lot of them do put out albums now. This one is by a group called Let's Eat Grandma, but it's Let's, with a, they're basically talking about grammar here, right? It's
I
let
don't know
let
what
us
this
eat
are.
grandma, not let us eat grandma. There should be a comma. I think it's funny. But anyway, they're from England, and so they put this out when they were about 13.
15 years old. That was quite a few years
But
ago.
then there's also Taylor Swift, there's Lorde, there's, all these, really, huge superstars who started when they were young.
What else?
This is a little book, I love this one. This was, my brother actually found this in a gallery in Boston. It's a story of cat behavior and how your perspective can change what you think about their behavior. So the exact same behavior can be seen as good or evil.
Ah,
And
there's an
she
angel
tells a
or a
story.
devil?
Yeah, she tells a story about
Bad
when you're a
cats.
bad cat, you do it this way, but when you're a good cat, it's the same exact behavior, but you see it as good. So I love that.
What did you learn through this? And what did you learn?
I think I learned that we don't give kids enough credit nowadays. I feel like we used to, right? Kids were considered adults by the time they were teenagers or whatever, on a certain level, right? And now we don't give them the time or the resources to pursue what they want to pursue a lot of times.
That's, except they say let kids be kids. I
They
mean, they have
do.
their all adulthood to be creative and inventors and patent seekers, but let kids
True.
play and be kids.
Right, but what if it's a kid who has an idea? That is play for them, right? This one. She is a domino artist, and she started a YouTube channel when she was 11, where she builds up these crazy patterns and then knocks all the dominoes down. And she is now a professional domino artist, and this is a documentary about her. That's what she wanted to do when she was 11, right? Is that still being a kid? Yeah, right? Kids love that kind of stuff. It's not that we're saying that they have to act like an adult, right? But they can do all of these really amazing things.
And you're discovering all that. You are and
Right.
putting it all in one place. So
All
it's
in one
easy,
place, so that like
accessible.
a kid, you take, you know, a field trip to the children's collection, you walk in and, you know, the docent says, guess what, right? I love the guess what thing. That was made by someone your age. That was made by a 5th grader. That was made by someone who was 15. You know, so-and-so was 12 when she invented, you know, a soap for cancer or whatever. And there are all those stories. There's a girl in Old Town who started a store in Farmington called Najoni Soap, and now has four locations, and one of them is in Old Town. She was 15, I think.
It's pretty amazing, Shander.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
Really. And that you came up with this idea to collect it all. And your vision and your dream, Shander Bawden, is?
Say that again?
What's your vision and your dream?
My vision and dream is to have a building that contains a lending library, a museum, a theater, a makerspace, where kids can do the programming as well as be shown. So for example, there was a 12-year-old boy who started this film festival a while ago, Ryan Levine, and it's still going, but he started at the age of 12, and he put together a festival. So, you know, if we had the space, a kid here in Albuquerque, say from the, you know, charter school that's a media arts charter school, wants to put on a festival, why not?
I remember putting on
Fashion
plays,
show.
putting in plays in my backyard, in my in my garage, but not at a
Yes.
location. I did it for the neighborhood,
That's
but not
right.
on a larger scale.
Yeah, and I have plays too that were written by kids. So,
And
yes,
you now
exactly, and
are
they can put it on.
allowing and letting kids know to be inspired that they don't have to just keep it in their garage.
That's right.
They can
That's
go
right.
out and
and let
show
their
the whole
parents know, let their teachers know.
How can they contact you, Shander Bawden?
I'm Shander at thechildrenscollection.org. And the website is also thechildrenscollection.org. I have a donation page there. I have my contact information on there, phone number if people want to text me. So, yeah.
Very remarkable. Thank you so much for your effort of bringing all of this in and for
course.
collecting this and inspiring all of us.
Thank you so
Appreciate
much
you.
for having me.
Thanks, and thanks for watching this program. And the future is now. The kids are doing remarkable things now. They're not waiting until they're adults. They're remarkable, and thanks for hearing the story and sharing all of this and collecting it all. Thanks for watching this show. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Issues and Answers with your host Diane Kinderwater is presented as a public service to inform, educate, and better the lives of New Mexicans. To comment on today's program, email us at info@kchftv.org or call us at 505-345-1991. Join us again for Issues and Answers with Diane Kinderwater.